Hey there. Hello, beautifuls. Thank you for hanging out with me. And I want to just welcome you to this information session about my upcoming book collaboration project or book anthology project. You may have heard it that way. And that is the book project that I am super excited that we're going to be launching starting this September with a target date of releasing by November of 2025. That's right. You will be a best-selling author by November 2025 if you decide to hop into this amazing book anthology project, Resilient Mothers. All right, so I'm Dr. Monique Flemings. For those of you that don't know me, let me share a little bit about who I am and why I do what I do when it comes to book publishing and a little bit about my journey, because I think that's so super important. So many of you may know me from different arenas. Maybe you know me from ministry, maybe you know me from business, speaking, consulting now, because I don't do very much coaching, but consulting, speaking, preaching. You may know me as a physical therapist, an educator, definitely, and an author and a publisher as well. I've had my publishing company for a couple of years now, and many people have not known that because we really have not had to do a lot of advertisement, and we really work with a certain type of author. And we're going to talk about that as well. But let me just kind of back up a little bit and tell you about my journey, a little bit about how I started out as an author and how come into what I do now, if that's okay. I think that's important. And so I don't know if you are brand new authors, if you're brand new authors, welcome. If you are an emerging author, welcome. If you are an author that has already written a book, welcome. I work with all authors on various, ends of the spectrum. And those that have been out there for a while come to me really for the coaching and the consulting piece, which is so important. So I started writing, or I wrote my very first book. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna mess this up and it's a shame. But I wrote my very first book, I believe it was in 2001 or 2001, my very first book. And I wrote it, I'm gonna tell you why. I wrote the book because I, at that time, was traveling back and forth to Ghana, West Africa. I was teaching in the villages. I was teaching leadership. I was teaching, women's, development as well. And I was teaching a lot on faith. And so I recognized that in the villages that they did not have access to books and things of that nature. And so the Lord really impressed upon my heart to write this book. And the book is only 50 pages long. I still have it because it is a great way for me to look back on how far the Lord has brought me. But I started out with this one idea, and the concept was to write this book to leave in Ghana, West Africa. So the goal was to write this book. It's called Building Your Faith. And the goal was to write that book and to be able to take it to Ghana, West Africa. So it could be a manual, it could be something that the pastors and leaders could use, because I recognize I would not always be able to travel back and forth to Ghana, West Africa. And that's the beauty about becoming an author is that your book will go places and spaces where you have never been. So I didn't even realize that when I first started, my very first book was an international book. So I have been an international publisher, international author from the very beginning, but I didn't know it because I was just kind of doing my thing. Like many of you that are here tonight, you're here probably because, the Lord told you to write a book, or you're here because maybe this book has been in your belly for a while. I get those type of people, women and men who are drawn to me and drawn to my publishing company. So we wrote the book. That was the goal, was to leave it there. So what I did was I asked people here in the United States if they could purchase the book. So for everyone that purchased the book, that book would go with me to Ghana, West Africa. So it was a way for people to sow a seed into the mission that I was doing in Ghana, West Africa. And so what happened was people were purchasing the books, and they would purchase the book, and then I would pack the book and take it with me. So they were not purchasing the book for themselves per se, but they was purchasing the book for me to take to Africa. Okay. So it was a two for one. Like I said, they were being able to sow a seed, and then I was able to take the books to Africa. Well, God had a different plan. So as people started purchasing the books for Ghana, West Africa, people started purchasing the books for themselves as well. It was written in a way that the Lord gave me. This is the framework He has given me, and He really hasn't stirred from this too much in my writing. Is to write it at a level that everybody could understand it, and to write it, like I said, it was 50 pages. Okay, and so I wrote the book. People started purchasing it to go to Africa, but people started purchasing the book for themselves as well. And when they started purchasing the book for themselves, they began to realize how much they enjoyed the book and how it was in a written in a way that they could understand God's faith, how to live by faith, how to walk by faith, how to move by faith. It was just a way that was simple and simplistic. Well, the goal was to get the book to Ghana, West Africa, which we did, but people started buying the book here. People started buying the book in bulks, teaching from it, and that's how I started as an author, trying to do something internationally or trying to do something going to Ghana, which was actually internationally. I didn't know it. And then I end up selling the book out over here. Let me tell you something about the book. That book was written, like I said, in 2001 or so. And I posted the book and I'll do it from time to time on Facebook just to encourage people to get started. 50 pages long. It was so small, I couldn't even get a book spine on it back then. And I posted the book and someone commented on the post and said, I didn't know you were Dr. Monique Matlock because that's my maiden name. And they said, my grandmother had this book. She gave this book to me and I got saved by reading this book. This is years late, decades later, decades later. I share that story because you need to understand that what's locked up on the inside of you is not just for you. It is for someone that is sitting somewhere crying out to God, looking for solutions, looking for answers. And it is your story, your voice, your solutions that will change them. So that I needed to share that with you because when you look at it that way, when you recognize that the power of your words go beyond you, it goes beyond your tribe, your friends, your family. The power of your words are meant to travel throughout the world and change people and change lives that you will never meet, but you will be obedient because people will have come to the Lord or people will have their solutions solved because you obey God. Oh, yes, I get a little preachy about this. So that is the power of the book. And that was over 20 something years ago. Over 20 something years ago. And that was the beginning of my journey. Fast forward, I have been on the end of being a part of book anthologies, of book collaboration projects, which you're here to learn about on tonight. And those are projects where you write one chapter in the book, and then it is all kind of compilated together and comprised of one book. Now, let me just share this with you. I love just being transparent. So I have written solo books and I have written several book anthology projects as well. And I'm going to be very honest with you and very transparent. When the Lord impressed upon me to do this business model and to do a book anthology, I said, no, thank you, sir. No, thank you. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to write this book. I'm ready to write a book. I'm ready to. And I remember him waking me up in the morning and I could hear his voice so clear, is that I am supposed to, you're supposed to write this book with other women. And I was like, no, thank you, sir. I'm gonna tell you why, because I was speaking out of my own pain and out of my own trauma. I had been in other book anthology projects, and I'll be very honest and transparent with you because I don't know any other way to be. It wasn't all that, okay? It wasn't all that. I walked away from those projects just feeling some kind of way. I'll just put it that way. And I did not want that. But I didn't know that that was actually preparing me for what God wanted me to do next. And I was open, with the Lord. I was talking to my husband about it, and my husband's like, "Why you don't want to do it?" And I began to tell him why, and all of that, and share with him. And he was like, "The Lord is probably trying to give you a different framework." Which was true. And so after I stopped complaining and, crying about it, I got quiet and the Lord began to give me a framework and I began to jot it down as to how he wanted the projects to be set up. I reached out to a publisher because I wasn't a publisher at that time. I reached out to a publisher, a powerful woman of God, told her, it was like a Saturday morning. I was like, I got this in my spirit. And she was so open and just so welcoming. She's like, okay, let's hop on a call. And I just poured out what I had that the Lord had given me, this format. He had given me this framework. And she worked with us on our very first actually she worked on me on two projects. Yeah, on two projects. My very first and second book anthology project as our publisher. And so the Lord gave me this framework that it wasn't just about writing. the book, all the ladies would come and write a chapter of the book. And it was about teaching women not only that, but of course, it was going to be some healing that would take place, through them writing. But it was really about teaching women how to use their voice as a platform to create other streams of income, whether it is speaking, writing other books, podcasting, building their business, building courses, whatever. There's so much money locked up in our voices. And our voices not only include speaking, but writing as well. Your written voice and your spoken voice. And as women, we really sit on our stories. We don't share them. So that is how I started with the anthologies. I started from a place of wanting women to be able to have additional income coming in, be able at all times be able to put their hands on money, because sometimes as women, we just don't have access to certain things. And so we started out, we did our very first one. Let the Daughters Arise was my very first anthology project, and that was published in 2021. And then we did the sequel, Let the Daughters Arise, Volume 2. Then I got real bold and stepped out here and was like, I'm ready to launch my own publishing company. I'm ready to do this myself, and met with some people, got some training under my belt. And my very first book that we published under my company name is actually Brilliant Minds of Black Men. And let me tell you, working with men, that's all I got to say. It's powerful, and it's a powerful book. It's an anthology book written by men, but men, baby, they very different to work with. I'm just gonna put it that way. And so that was my very first book. And I was so super excited to release that. That was in 2022. We released that book, Brilliant Minds of Black Men. And it's an anthology where men are telling their stories. Now, what makes my anthology projects different than others? It is truly the mentorship, the coaching, the consulting, and the fact that if you follow the plan that we give you, you will get a return on your investment. If you choose not to do what we ask you to do, which is your choice, you won't see a return on your investment. But if you do what we ask you to do, we say, okay, we're posting this week, we're doing this, we walk you through. We walk you through the framework of not just being an author, but being one that steps into what I call authorship. Because this is what I didn't know when I wrote that book, Building Your Faith, all those years ago, over 20 something years ago. I didn't realize that when you become an author, you become a business owner. I was just writing that book because I was obeying God. I had no clue that when you become an author, you actually step into business. And so that is the framework that we work from with all of our authors, is helping them understand that as an author, you are now an authority on that subject. If you're writing about stress or grief or loneliness, you now become an authority on that subject matter. You are a subject matter expert. And we want you to see yourself as a subject matter expert, which means you can speak on stages, podcasts. You can, start doing your own book, and we show you how to do that as well. Many of the authors that worked with me on their very first book, Let the Daughters Arise, in 2021, have gone on to write their own solo books. Yay! Some of them have come back to write with me a couple of times. I've had authors come back to work with me because they love the camaraderie. They love the fact that they can have a print work with their name on it, and they love the fact that they can actually have a product that has their name on it and has their story within it to share with the world. Now, the other thing is we teach you how to run a business. So some of the ladies have started speaking on stages, getting paid for speaking on stages, as well as many of them have stepped into their own business based on the skills that we show them even in our program. So think of this anthology project not just as writing, but it's actually a business class as well. It is actually a class that's going to help you cultivate and curate your business acumen. So if you're in business already, I promise you're going to walk away with some more skills to add to it. If you're not in business, this is going to be a way to help launch you. Okay. I tell people, if you're just here to kind of write a story, this is going to be a little bit challenging for you and maybe a little uncomfortable. But if you're willing to be stretched, come on in. It's going to be absolutely worth the stretch. All right. So let me tell you how this works. So every woman gets the opportunity to write one chapter. of 500 words unless you choose to up your value a little bit and do a 900 word chapter, or you may want to do two 500 word chapters. Just let us know. But this particular book, um, Resilient Mothers, Strength, Stillness, and Sacred Surrender, is all around mothers learning how to lean into rest. Now, you could write it from your perspective as a mother, being a resilient mother, or you could choose to write it from a perspective of you paying homage to your mother, your grandmother, your spiritual mother. We welcome that as well. 500 words. This is going to be a journal. So think of it, as your favorite journal you pick up, where every day there is a different entry coming from one of the wonderful authors on this project. You'll get the opportunity to have your bio in the book as well. And then, depending on the selection that you choose, you get a chance to even have your information inside the book, as well as maybe on the back cover of the book and your picture, just depending on which package you choose. Now, check this out. This is all for you to be able to be a part of this project. Includes your professional editing. It covers, I'm sorry, all the things in the book: professional editing, book cover design, the marketing classes, the branding classes, coach, these are all group consulting courses that we provide. All the assistance that is needed to move you from the beginning of the project through the project and even past launch. And this is all for 500 words. It's all for 597, which is amazing. And yes, you could break those payments up into two payments. And then if you decide to bump up to 900 words, I believe that price is 997 with some other features as well. Once again, getting you ready to launch your career as you step into authorship, because we teach you how to actually make your return on your investment while you are still in our program. Yes, ma'am. So before you even get to seeing the book, touching the book, feeling the book, if you follow our plan, if you follow our strategies, you will actually be able to see your return on investment, which is absolutely amazing. 80% of our authors that do this, follow our plan, they actually get a return on their investment, meaning that the money that they have placed into this project comes back into their pocket, because we do lots of pre-sales, which is really major. That's a key factor. Anyway, I don't want to get on a tangent about that. But you're in these coaching sessions, and so you're in this community, and it moves really fast. Okay, so when does it start? Whew, good question. When does it start? Love that. It will start September. We plan to close the gate on this the end of August. So if you're interested, we say get yourself plugged in so we can get you all in. And we plan to start in September with the launch date of mid to late November 2025. Woohoo! Yes, ma'am. So it's going to move pretty quick, but it's going to be well worth it. Why be a part of an anthology project? Well, you get the opportunity to be in a community. You get the opportunity to work with us and my brilliant team to walk you through. Your voice matters, your story matters, and we teach you how to write it in a way that is actually going to be impactful to other people, and not in a way where you're bleeding all over the pages. Okay, we will show you and teach you how to do that. The big piece is really teaching you the marketing pieces, teaching you how to position yourself, brand yourself, and market the book, like I said, so that while you're still in the program with us, before we even launch it, you got money back. You've actually started making sales. That's important. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, a little dry throat there. So that's a good question there. Okay. So you get access to all of that in the program. Okay. Definitely want to get you locked in and get you in. If you have been saying to yourself, I want to write, I don't know where to start, or if you've written a book before and it did not go well, many people come to us because they've already written a book previously and it didn't get the sales that they thought. They didn't get the mentoring that they thought. Most publishing companies work on you writing the book. And once you have written the book and they have done their job in delivering the book, you're done. And I know because I have been through other publishers. I've worked with other publishing companies, small and large, and pretty much it's the same formula. Once that book is done, you may have your launch party or whatever, it's over. The contract's over. And honestly, that's when the real work begins. And so, what we did, the formula that the Lord gave me when I started my anthology projects was we're going to work on the writing, we're going to work on all of that's needed and necessary. But what makes us different and separates us from others is that we're going to work quite a bit on your branding, positioning yourselves, and making sales even beyond the project. So oftentimes after we're done, our ladies are still out there using the tools and strategies that they've learned in this program, setting up podcasts, speaking on stages. They'll reach back and tell us, somebody just reached out and let us know that one of our books is now in Africa, another part of Africa. Another one of our books is in Mexico because I did a anthology called Lioness, Prayers and Affirmation for Women Leaders, Volume 2. And we actually published that book in English and Spanish because I had two ladies on the project who spoke English and Spanish. And so those ladies end up getting a good deal. They end up getting two books out of that project. Okay. But we teach you even how to take your chapter. Check this out. When you leave us, this is another one of my secrets here. So I'm telling you all my secret stuff tonight. But this is good to know. One of the things is that when you leave the project, yes, you have written a chapter in the book. Oh, this is what I wanted to say. You've written a chapter in the book, and people are like, oh, you're not really an author because you wrote a chapter in someone else's book. You are a co-author. And yes, you are every bit of an author. You're not the visionary author, but you are a co-author. And let me tell you something. This is a great place to start. However, this is the secret sauce of working with us in my publishing company. When you write that chapter is already um, edited professionally. We have a professional editor that will edit your chapter. We teach our ladies how to take that chapter, make it an ebook, make it a course, make it whatever you want. It's your intellectual property. Or take that chapter and begin to write from that chapter, some more chapters, and write your own book. And so we do have authors that have been a part of our anthology project that come back to us later to publish with my publishing company. And so if you are a part of the anthology project, now you're become a part of our family. And so when you do decide to publish your own book, we give you a quite a bit of a discount because you're in the family. Come back and publish your own solo project because we know that you've been trained because you have been through our program. And then we just appreciate because you're family. Let me tell you something. Right now is a powerful time to write, especially as people of color. My publishing company is Dream, but it is pronounced Dream Publishing and Consulting. Our goal is to work with thought leaders, experts, executive founders from marginalized communities who are interested in not only sharing their voice and telling their story, but creating an additional income stream. So we let you know right up front who we're working with, why we're working with you, and the goal is not only to write and publish, but to publish and profit. So when we work with our solo authors, they get the opportunity not only to publish with us, but we're working once again on their strategies 90 days out, 6 months out from the time that they launch that book to ensure that they still are getting revenue in. So that is a little bit about the project. Like I said, the links are here. And so if you're interested, I would say lock in, get your spot for $597. And you can also lock in, there's a partial payment plan there. Lock yourself in so that you can become a part of the project. We will be closing the door on this, I believe, August 30th, 31st, so that we can start this project off in September and that you could become a best-selling author in November. Oh, let me share this with you. People ask all the time, how do you get royalties on the book? Great question. Great question. We do not do royalties with our books. Let me tell you why. Because we teach you how to have 100% of your commission, 100% of your sales, rather, come to you. Okay. We teach you, we show you how to set up your own landing page, how to set up your own website, so that when people place an order for the book, that order comes directly to you and you handle that money coming into your business, and you are responsible for sending out those books to your people. Okay. So, no, we don't do all of the commissions because, even if we put the book, and we probably will do, sometimes we will do, and I don't know if this is a part of this project, but I'll just share this. Sometimes we will do a bestsellers campaign on Amazon, and that is only for the Kindle book version. We don't put the hard book there, but the Kindle version book is there. Um, and so even with that, you're talking about splitting pennies. And so I teach you quite a bit about why you don't want to have your book live 100% on Amazon. We talk about that quite a bit. And that is where a lot of people come to me because previously they were told to put their book on Amazon, and they recognize that when they put their book on Amazon, they sent their book to the book graveyard. And yeah, it is what it is. All right. Okay, so I'm super excited that you're here. And if you have additional questions, you could reach out to us at any time, and we will be so glad to hop on a call or just correspond back with you to get you locked in. So if you've been telling everybody and you know that this is your season to write, let's do it. And I'm super excited that my team and I have been able to budget and look at the numbers and be able to offer this at this particular price point, this level of investment. And so we know mothers give a whole lot, do a whole lot, but your voice is so valuable. Your story is so powerful. And like I said earlier, somebody's waiting on your story to unlock something that they have been waiting for. Someone's praying right now for your story, your voice to be a part of their journey. Please don't let them flatline on your watch. I say this all the time, and you may have seen this. Every time you procrastinate, for whatever reason, every time you decide to procrastinate, maybe you don't think you have the goods, you don't have the money. Every time you decide to procrastinate, what happens? Someone flatlines. Someone flatlines. Someone dies because what's on the inside of you is connected to something that they need. All righty. If we don't have any more questions, thank you so much again for hanging out. This has been so much fun, and I look forward to seeing you in our anthology project.